Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and thank you to all of our witnesses for being here today with us to answer our questions. I wanted to take a moment off the top to acknowledge the work of screening officers and frontline airport workers all across the country who are really bearing the brunt of the chaos at our airports and working under some exceptionally difficult conditions. Now, we've been told several times by the government that this is an international phenomenon, and so I think it might be instructive to look at what other airports are doing. I noted that Amsterdam Schiphol Airport in the Netherlands negotiated an agreement with airport workers that includes a raise over the busy summer months that's equivalent to $7.14 Canadian per hour. By contrast, in Canada, we have CATSA creating something called the Summer Attendance Incentive Program, which pays a $200 a week bonus to employees who don't take their holidays. And here's the most alarming part. I have a memo here written by one of your contractors which describes the program to their workers. And this memo states that workers who take time off because they're sick won't qualify for the bonus. This is essentially creating a financial incentive for employees to go to work sick during a pandemic. Does CATSA think that that's appropriate?
I disagree with what the incentive, how you've characterized what the incentive is intended to do. A participant, a screening officer who is sick or takes their vacation, their scheduled vacation, does not disqualify from the program. But I back up just one step in your reference to Schiphol. CATSA is not the employer of the screening contractors. The service is delivered through a third-party contractor. The process for negotiating compensation is the collective bargaining process. Many of the airports in Canada have concluded agreements already, and there are a few places, like Vancouver is one, Ottawa is another, where the collective bargaining process is underway. The incentive or attendance incentive was put in place because across the country there can be significant instances of absenteeism where people don't show up for their shift. The program is administered by the screening contractors. CATSA is making the funds available that it underspent in April and May due to the capacity shortage available to incent people to show up for their scheduled shift. If somebody is sick and provides their documentation to their employer, my understanding from the employers is that they would continue to be eligible over the 12-week period if they continue to show up for their scheduled shifts.
Mr. Perry, if I may interrupt, my interpretation is that it costs them $200 if they take a sick day. I have a memo here by Allied Universal, one of your contractors. It has a Q&A on the third page. The question is, if I miss my scheduled shift because I am sick, am I disqualified, even if I can provide a medical note? The answer, you are not eligible for the bonus that week.
That is correct.
So there's a $200 bonus on the table for that week. They get sick. They need to take time off work because they're sick. They forgo that bonus. That's a financial incentive to go to work with a runny nose, a sore throat, and COVID possibly.
I won't respond to that.
Okay.
On the COVID. This is what's important to keep in mind. I think is this is supernumerary to the compensation, the total compensation that a screening officer receives from their employer in the discourse of their duties. There is already a compensation package at all of the airports. There are hourly pay rates, benefits, pensions, holidays, sick days, paid sick days that the screening officers are entitled to. This offer was never meant to be mandatory for 12 weeks. It is an incentive above and beyond their existing compensation, their existing pay schedule, overtime rates. It's above that, and it's available for those who are able to avail themselves of it. We fully expected that most screening officers would not be able to take advantage of 100% of it because people do get sick and people do go on vacation, and that's perfectly acceptable. But if you show up for your scheduled shifts, you have an opportunity to earn additional funds above what you're already entitled
So,
to.
Mr. Perry, if I may, I disagree with the characterization. It feels to me like an incentive. And earlier you said that you're trying to discourage absenteeism. Taking the holidays that you scheduled last November is not